What's going on, guys? This is Jake, and in this video I'm going to be walking you through step by step how you can go ahead and create your very own Shopify e-commerce store from scratch. So in this video we're going to be covering everything from A to Z, and by the end of this video you're going to have a very professional looking, clean e-commerce website using Shopify. So this is going to take a little bit, so let's not waste any time and go ahead and jump right into the video. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started with this tutorial. So the first thing you need to do is click the first link in the description down below to go ahead and start your free trial with Shopify. And I would recommend that you go ahead and follow along step by step with this video, as that's going to be the easiest way to go ahead and learn how to build your store. So if you go ahead and click the link in the description, you can go ahead and start your free trial right alongside me, and we can go ahead and get started. And after you click the link, if you notice that this page looks a little bit different, that's because Shopify is changing up this page quite frequently. So sometimes they have different offers and promotions going on. Sometimes they're testing out different pages here. So if your page looks a little bit different than mine does, that's fine. It just means that you're building your store at a different time that I am recording it. So with that said, after you go ahead and click the link and are brought to this page here, you just have to enter your email address to start your free trial. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on start free trial, and then we can go ahead and name our store. And this isn't super important because we're going to be able to edit all of this information later. So you can kind of put in whatever you want right here. But in this case, I'll just put in sample candy store for YouTube and click on next. Now we're going to be brought to a quick questionnaire where we're going to have to just answer some questions about our business here, and this is going to help Shopify tailor the experience for us. Now if you want to, you can just skip through all of this, or you can just answer these really quick. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and answer these questions quickly. So where would you like to sell? So in this case, an online store. What do you plan to sell? So in this case, we'll do physical products. And then where will we get our products? You can choose whether or not you're going to get them from a drop shipping supplier, using print on demand, or make the products yourself. And then we can go ahead and choose where our business is located. So in this case, that'll be the United States for me. Then our store will go ahead and be set up here in the back end. So we just have to go ahead and wait a second. So after a few seconds, we're going to be brought to the Shopify admin dashboard here. So this is where we're going to be spending the majority of our time building out and managing our e-commerce store through Shopify. We can see it's a very simple, easy, and clean dashboard here. And we're going to go ahead and go through everything here on the left side. And by the end of this video, you're going to know everything you need to know to go ahead and set up your store. And we can see that we are first presented with options to pick a plan, which we are going to do, but I'm going to go ahead and cover that later on in the video. So I'm going to go ahead and clear that out right now. So the first thing I want to go ahead and do is just go over some quick general settings. So if we come down here to settings here, we can see that we have our store details. So we have our basic information. So if I open this up, this is where we can go ahead and change the actual store name, like I said before. So in this case, I'm going to change it to this, which is going to be the name of the demo store I'm going to be creating today. And we can go ahead and edit our industry. We can go ahead and add in our store address. So if you have a physical location, this is where you'd go ahead and put that in. We can edit our contact information here. So we have the store contact email. So this is what Shopify uses to contact us about information about our store. And then we have our sender email. So this is what customers see if we actually email them. So you'd want this to be your forward-facing customer email, while this is like the personal email here that you're going to get business information from. Down here, you can change your store currency, and you can also edit the time zone you're in, as well as the unit system and your default weight unit. And then down here, we can also edit our order ID formats if we want. So if you want to have a prefix to all of your order numbers. So this is useful if you have multiple different brands or different stores. You can go ahead and help organize them this way. And then once you've set all that up, you can go ahead and just click on save. So moving on from this, there's only one other thing that I want to show you in settings right now before we move on. And that's going to be payments. So if we come down here to payments, this is where we can choose to go ahead and activate our different payment gateways. So the first and most prominent payment gateway is going to be Shopify Payments. So we can let customers pay with credit cards. So this is going to be the most common way that you're going to be getting paid. So you just want to go ahead and click on activate Shopify payments here, and it only takes a couple of seconds. You're just going to have to enter some basic information about you and your business and link a bank account, and then you will be automatically approved and good to go. And then you can also add in other payment methods down here as well. So you can link a PayPal account, which also takes a couple seconds, or you can go ahead and set up Amazon Pay as well. And you can add in manual payment methods if you want, but these are going to be the three most common ones that you're going to see. And at the very least, you want to have Shopify payments set up. And then if you want to go ahead and add these as well, you can, but you definitely at least want Shopify payments. So I wanted to cover that in the beginning of the video, since your store being able to accept payments is pretty much the most important thing of the e-commerce store. If you can't accept payments, then what's the point of even having the store? All right, so the last thing that we're going to be doing in the settings right now is setting up our brand settings. So we're going to come down here to brand, and this is where we can just go ahead and upload our logo and select some colors that are going to be used in our actual store design. And setting it up in here is just going to save us a little bit of time moving forward, and it makes things a little bit easier, which is why we're going to be doing it now. So all you're going to need is a logo, a square image of your logo, and your primary colors, which I'm going to show you how to get in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a logo here. So this is just going to be our base logo. So I'm going to go ahead and use this logo for this demo store. And then we need to upload a square version of our logo, which is going to be used as the favicon for the website, which is the little thing that shows up in the top left of the site on browsers. And this is also going to be used for social media channels, and it potentially gets cropped into a circle, as you can see here. So in this case, I'm going to just upload the icon from this particular sample logo here and use that as the square logo. So depending on what your logo is, that's going to depend on what you use for the square one. And then we can come down here to colors. So this is going to be the colors that are going to be used in our store design across our entire store. So we want to make sure that it matches up with our branding here. So what I would recommend doing is heading over here to imagecolorpicker.com and then uploading your logo. And when you do, what it's going to do is it's going to give you this color palette here. So it's going to take a bunch of different colors from your logo and give you a full color palette. And then you can go ahead and use these different colors from the color palette to go ahead and design your store around your branding, so that way all of your branding looks consistent and everything looks clean. So what we're going to go ahead and do is do our primary color first. So this is going to be the main color of your brand. So in this case, I'm going to use this shade of pink right here, which is like the most used color here in the logo. So you just have to come over here and copy the hex code and then come back over here, and we're going to paste it in. And then we can come down here to the secondary colors, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pick an off shade of this pink here in this particular case, and I'm going to copy it, come over here, paste this hex code in, and then what I'm also going to do is add in one more secondary color. So I'm going to go ahead and come back over here and select this gray this time, and I'm going to copy this gray hex code, come over here and paste it in. And just like that, we've went ahead and set up the branding colors that we're going to be using throughout our store. We can also set up things such as a cover image, a slogan, and a short description. And these are going to be used on different things, such as throughout your website and on different profile pages and apps. But for the sake of time in this video, I'm not going to go ahead and do that, but you can go ahead and set all this up if you want. And then down here, we can go ahead and add social links for our business as well. So depending on which different social media profiles you have, you can go ahead and choose them here and add them in. So in this particular case, just for the sake of the demo, I'm just going to put Shopify's links in here, and we'll be good to go. So now, once we've filled out this branding information, what I'm going to go ahead and do is just click on save up here. And then once we see that our branding is saved, now we're going to actually go ahead and start actually editing and designing the store itself. So I'm going to go ahead and X this out. And now we're going to move on to the theme selection, which is going to be one of the most important parts of actually designing our store here. So if I come down here to the left and click on online store, and then we click on themes right under that, we're going to see here that if we take a look at our current store, that we already have a theme installed, and that is the Dawn theme, which comes with all Shopify stores currently right now. Sometimes this changes, but this is the current default theme. And we can see here that this is what the theme looks like right now out of the box, and you just have to fill stuff in, which we'll be doing in this video. So if you want to go ahead and look at different themes, you can come down here to the theme library and click on add theme, and then click on visit theme store. And this is where we can go ahead and browse a bunch of different themes. For this video, we're going to be setting up the store with the Dawn theme, since that's probably the easiest for everyone to go ahead and follow along with, since it's the theme that the store actually comes with. However, if you do decide to use a separate theme, the building process is going to be exactly the same, so you'll still be able to follow along if you do go ahead and decide to use a different theme. The only difference will be that your store layout will be different, but the editing process will be exactly the same. So if you want to go ahead and choose different themes, you can come over here and select all themes, and you can browse through a bunch of different themes here. You can choose whether you want to look at free themes only. You can choose whether you want to go ahead and sort it for different industries. So if you're in like the restaurant industry, for example, you can sort based on that. You can take a look at all of these different themes, and if you wanted to go ahead and install a new theme, you could just click on one of these themes here. You can view a demo store so you can see what it actually looks like, and then if you want to go ahead and try this theme out, you can just click try theme, and that's how you can install it over to your store. And once you click on try theme, you can just add it to your store just like this here. And then once this goes ahead and updates, we can see here that whenever you add a new theme, it's going to show up down here in your theme library. And then if you want to go ahead and switch your theme, you can come down here and click publish once it finishes loading. But like I said, we're going to be using the Dawn theme in this video, since that is the default theme that actually comes with the store. So that's going to be the easiest one to use. So now we're going to go ahead and get started with customizing our actual home page here. So we're going to go ahead and click on customize here right next to our current theme. So once we go ahead and open up the actual theme customizer here, we can see that this is what it looks like. So we have all of our different sections here on the left. We have the preview section here in the middle, and then we're going to be able to do a bunch of edits here on the right. And then at any time while we are editing this, we can come up here to the top right, and we can see what the preview looks like on desktop, what it looks like on the full screen, and what it looks like on mobile. So throughout the entire editing process, you can go ahead and switch between these different views to ensure that what you are creating looks good on every single screen size. But for the most part, we're going to be editing on desktop just because it's bigger and easier to see. But I would recommend making sure that everything looks good on mobile, especially once you're done. So getting familiar with the editor here, so we can see here that every section here on the left side is going to be associated with a section here in the center. So we can see if we click on announcement bar, it highlights this announcement bar up here. If we click on header, it highlights the header. Click on image banner, it highlights this image banner here, and whatever is being highlighted here is what's being edited, and we can edit all of that stuff over here. And I'm going to be showing you how you can go ahead and fill in all of these different sections, as well as add new sections or delete sections that you want to go ahead and not use. So in this case, before we actually edit this stuff, we're going to head over here to theme settings, and I'm going to go ahead and open up colors really quickly. And this is where we're going to go ahead and start using the colors that we used earlier. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and click on accent 1, and I'm going to click these 3 little circles right here and click connect dynamic source, and we're going to make this primary color number 1, and I'm going to click connect, and then I'm going to come down here to accent 2, and I'm going to go ahead and make this our secondary color number 1, which was the off shade of pink. I'm going to click connect. So this is just going to allow us to use these colors throughout our theme, because what we're going to see here soon is when we're editing different sections, we can choose which color we want certain things to be, and we are going to select them based on what our accent colors are. So this is why we're going ahead and choosing these particular colors right now. Now, the solid button label color here, we can see this is used as the foreground color on accent colors. So what this essentially means is if we make a button our accent 1, then this is going to be the color of the text on the particular button. And then we see down here, we have the secondary color, so we have our default text. So this is going to be used as the color on our background color. So this is pretty much just going to be the text all throughout our site. So I prefer to just have the text to be flat black, but you can make the text color on your site whatever you really want. And then down here, we have our different background colors. So we have our first background by default, which is white. And we can see that if I were to just change this to this blue, we can see that this changes all of the background on the site here. Now, most of the time, you're just going to keep your background as white, but depending on the site you have, you may want to use a different color background. So that's where you can go ahead and change that. And then we have background 2 here, which is going to be used for smaller backgrounds here. So if I were to go ahead and change this to blue, we can see that the background of these different sections here changes right here. So you can think of background 1 as the primary site background, and background 2 is the background for different smaller sections. So in this case, what I'm going to go ahead and actually do is I'm going to make this background 2 that shade of gray that we had earlier. So I'm going to just make it our secondary color 2, which we can see right here. And I'll just go ahead and click on connect. And now we've went ahead and set up all of our colors. So I'm going to click on save really quickly. And anytime you make any significant changes throughout this editing process, you're going to want to click save, so that way you don't have to accidentally close out the browser or your internet cuts out or something and you lose all of your editing. So now, while we're inside of the theme settings, you may get overwhelmed by all of this different stuff, but we really don't have to mess with much of this at all. And I actually would recommend not really messing with most of this, because a lot of the theme settings are going to be set up by default to look good, hence why it's already a pre-made theme. So the only other thing we're really going to be looking at here is the typography, and this is if you want to go ahead and change the actual font of your theme here. So we can see here by default we have the assistant font, and if we were to go ahead and change it to something else, for example, we could scroll through all of these different fonts, we could load more, and we could go ahead and take a look at different fonts. So if I were to change it to say this, we can see that our font throughout the site has once again changed. In this case, I'm going to just keep the font as default, but if you do have a particular font that you want to go ahead and use for your brand, you can go ahead and select that in here. And we can see that we can choose different fonts for different parts of our site. So we have the font for our headings, which are going to be these large text sections here. We have the font for the body, which is going to be these smaller text sections right in here. One thing to keep in mind is the more different fonts that you use on your site, the slower your website is going to load. So if you use the same font throughout your entire website, your website is going to perform quicker. So that is one thing to keep in mind. You don't want to use like 3 or 4 different fonts. So if you use the same font for your headings and your body, your website is going to load faster. So if you do decide to use 2 different fonts, just keep that in mind. And once you've selected your font, there's only one more thing we're really going to be doing here inside of theme settings, and that's coming down here to favicon, and we're going to go ahead and connect our square logo here to use as the favicon. And then once we've done that, we're pretty much going to be done for settings. And then I'm going to come up here and click save. So now we can actually head back here to the sections area, and we can actually start editing the actual site. So we're going to just go ahead and start from the top down. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the announcement bar here. And whenever we click on an overall section, you can see right under it, these are the subsections inside of the overall section. So we can see inside of this announcement bar, we just have this one announcement right here. And we could go ahead and add another announcement here, which would give us 2 different announcement bars. But in this case, obviously, we don't need 2 announcement bars. So I can come down here and remove it. So if we click on this first section here, we can choose to go ahead and edit the text up here. So right now it just says, welcome to our store. Now, if you have any particular announcement, like a specific sale going on, or maybe you launched a new product or something, you could go ahead and link to that up here. So you could say something like check out our newest chocolate, and then you can come down here to products and you could link to that particular product right here. Now in this case we haven't added products yet, but I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. And then right here we have the color scheme. So this is what we were talking about earlier. So in this case I'm going to make it accent 1, and we can see that now that makes it our primary brand color right there. If I were to change it to accent 2, we can see it makes it that off pink. And then if you can see, if I were to change it to background 2, you can see it makes it that off gray that we have. But in this case we're going to make it accent 1, and then I'm going to click on save. And now we're going to go ahead and edit the next section here, which is the header. So we can see we have our logo in here already from our branding section earlier, but it is a little bit small, so we can come down here to logo width and make it bigger. In this case I'm going to make it 170, but you can go ahead and play around with the sizes and choose which size you think looks the best. And then we can change the positions. We can make it middle left, or top center. So this varies depending on what you think will look the best. In this case, I'm going to just keep it as middle left. So this is all going to be personal preference. Down here, we have the option to go ahead and choose what menu shows up. So by default, we have the main menu. And later in this video, I'm going to show you how you can add stuff to the main menu and how you can actually create additional menus as well. And then the only other setting that's really going to be important here is the sticky header. So you can choose whether or not when somebody scrolls down in your store, whether or not you want the header to always be visible on top, or whether you want it to just stay at the top of the site like normal. So in this case, I'll just keep it enabled, and I'm going to just go ahead and click on save. You can also change the color scheme of this background if you want to. So you can see if I change the background to, or accent 2, you can see these different colors. I'm going to just keep it as the base background 1 here. But you can see that's where our different branding colors come into play. And that's why it's really important to set up those colors ahead of time, because then we can just go through and choose our color schemes. So the next section here is going to be this big header. So we have the image banner. So the first thing we can take a look at here is we're going to go ahead and put an image here. So we can see here that this is where our cover image would be showing up if we uploaded one in branding. But in this case, I'm going to just upload it manually. So I'm going to just come in here, click on change, and I'm going to click on select image, and I'm going to go ahead and upload one. So we're going to go ahead and use this image here as the background header for this page, and I'm going to click on select. And then we can go ahead and choose the banner height. So right now it's large. We can shrink it down to medium, or we can make it small. In this case, I think I'm going to actually keep it on medium. I think that looks a little bit better, but you can go ahead and choose whatever you like, and you can also choose to adapt it to the actual image size if you want. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're testing out what size you think looks best, make sure you switch over to mobile as well and take a look at what the different sizes look like on mobile. But in this case, they look very similar. So I'm going to stick with medium. We can change the image overlay opacity, which is just essentially how visible the image actually is. So we can see if it's 100%, the image isn't visible at all. If it's 0%, there's no overlay on it at all. So the text is actually very hard to see. So you want some level of opacity here on the image, so that way this white text here will actually be visible. And then we can come down here and choose where we want the desktop content position to be. So we can go ahead and change it to say middle center if we want this to be centered. And in my opinion, I think that looks better. But you can go ahead and take a look at all of these different positions if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and go with middle center. And we can see that no matter what, it says this on desktop, so no matter what on mobile, it's going to look the same no matter what. So just keep that in mind, that we're only editing this particular part for desktop. And then we can choose whether or not we want to show the container on desktop. Because what this actually does is it goes ahead and puts a background on our text section right here. And then if we wanted to go ahead and change the color scheme of this to like accent 1, we could. But in this particular case, I'm going to get rid of the container. I think it looks better with just the white text. And then down here, we have the mobile content alignment here. So if we switch over to mobile again, we can choose whether we want this to the left, to the right, or center. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and keep it center. We can also choose whether or not we want to show the container on mobile. And if we show the container on mobile, what it's actually going to do is create a separate container down here. So we can see it's going to look different on mobile. So the container on mobile would be too small and block out the whole image. So instead it turns into its own separate section. So you can choose whether or not on mobile you want the text up here or down here. So once again, that's another preference thing. I'm going to just keep it as default right here. I'm going to go ahead and click on save. So we're going to go back to the desktop editor now. So now that we've edited this main section, the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is come here to this first subsection, which is the image banner. So this is where we can go ahead and put in a heading. So I could put in a heading like this, and we can go ahead and change the heading size if we want. In this case, I'll leave it at large. And then if we click on the next subsection here, which is this little text section down here, we could go ahead and put more text in here as well. So maybe like a slogan or something like that. In this case, I'm just going to put some dummy text, and then we can choose whether we want it to be body, subtitle, or uppercase text. And then lastly, we have the button down here. So we can choose whether or not we want the button to be outline or solid. So in this case, I'll just keep it as outline. And we can choose right here where the button actually links, and we can change the button label to something like Shop Now. And if we want, we could add in a secondary button. If I put in just say test, for example, we can see the second button shows up. But in this case, I'm not going to go ahead and use that. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just click save. And just like that, we've went ahead and created the first bit of our website on top, and everything looks on brand and it looks clean. And we have a button that leads directly to our all products page. All right, so now that we're finished with this main image banner here, we can go ahead and move on to the next section. So fortunately, editing one section is pretty much exactly the same as editing any other section throughout the editor. So once you know how to edit one section, you're pretty much going to be familiar with how everything works, and you're going to be able to edit everything. And from there on out, it's essentially just about being able to fill in the information that's there. So by default, the Dawn theme comes with these specific sections right here in this order. However, you can edit these to whatever your liking is. So let's say you want to drag a section down. You can click on these two rows of dots right here, and you can drag it down, and you can see that you can place this pretty much anywhere in the store. If you want to go ahead and add new sections, you can click on add section down here, and you can see that if we show more, we get a bunch of different options for different sections that we can go ahead and add into this specific theme layout as well. So if you're not completely satisfied with the default layout of the theme, you can always come in here and add your own sections as well. So let's say, for example, if I add in an image with text section right here, and let's say I were to go ahead and drag it up to right here, we can see that just like that, we went ahead and added in a new section. Now let's say we wanted this image with text section to go ahead and replace this rich text section right here. So what we can do is we can click on the rich text section, and if we wanted to get rid of it, we could just go ahead and click on remove section right here, and we can see that just like that, the section is gone. Now, if this was a mistake, you can always come up here to this arrow here, and it will undo your previous action. So anytime you do something and you want to go ahead and revert it, you can go ahead and undo it right here. But in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and actually replace the rich text section with this image with text. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to actually drag the image with text below the featured collection, because I think that looks a little bit better. So when it comes to filling out these sections, this section right here is the featured collection. So we can see right here that it's showcasing a collection of products, but since we don't have any products or collections yet, nothing is showing up. So after we go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and leave this here, and then once we go ahead and add products to the store and create collections, we're going to come back and I'm going to show you what this will look like and how to fill it out. So we're going to move on to customizing this section here that we just created. So we can see here, once again, editing this section is going to be very similar to the image banner that we already edited. So we can start off by throwing an image in here. So I'm going to go ahead and upload an image for this section. So I'm going to go ahead and use this image here and click on select. And once again, we can choose to go ahead and change the image height here. In this particular case, I'll keep it on adapt image. We can go ahead and change the image width as well from small, medium to large. So we can go ahead and customize all of this different stuff just like we can with every other section. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and make this image a small. And then we can choose whether or not we want the image to be first, so on the left, or second, so on the right. So in this particular case, I'm going to actually just keep it as second. And then we have the content alignment, so we can align it from the left to the center, to the right. In this case, I'll keep it aligned to the left. And then we can go ahead and choose our color scheme like before. So if we wanted to give it one of these crazy color schemes, but in this case, we're just going to keep it with our typical background one. And then our button here is going to be the accent one color that we had earlier. And then we have the mobile content alignment here. So if I were to go ahead and take a look at this on mobile, we can see left, center, and right. So in this particular case, I'm going to just keep the mobile content alignment to center. And I'm going to go ahead and move back to desktop. So we can see how editing this was very similar to editing this banner up here like we already did. So keeping with that theme, the next thing we need to do is click on these actual individual sections here to edit them now. So now we can go ahead and put in our header text right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that in here. We can choose which type of heading size we want. In this case, I'll stick with medium. And then we can go ahead down here and we can add in additional text. So the content right here. I'll just put in some dummy text. And then we can click on the last element inside of this section, which is the button. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have it linked to all products right now since we haven't created any collections yet. But I'm going to go ahead and name the button Shop Chocolate, and later on we'll link this to a chocolate collection. So after we click save here, we can see that we just went ahead and created this new section from scratch in just a couple of minutes. And the editing process, like I said, for every one of these sections is going to be exactly the same. And also within a section, you can also choose whether or not you want to add or remove individual blocks. So if I were to click on add block here, we can see I could go ahead and add in a caption in this case. It would show up right here. We can go ahead and put in a caption right there. Or if we no longer want this block, just like with removing a section, we can remove individual blocks when we are selecting on the block right here, and we go ahead and just click remove. So editing these sections is very simple. And if we go ahead and take a look, the next section here that we have is a multimedia collage. So in this particular case, we can see here that it is showcasing one collection, one product, and another collection all within here. But let's say we wanted to go ahead and change this to just showcase 3 different collections. If I went ahead and click on the product one right here, I'm going to go ahead and remove this particular block, and then I'm going to add a block back. But in this particular case, I'm going to add a collection block. So now it's going to showcase 3 collections, which we are going to fill in here after we go ahead and create collections a little bit later on. The next section here that comes with the theme setup is a video. So if you had a video showcasing your particular product or brand, you could put it in right here. You could put in like a heading, like our story, for example. And you could go ahead and just paste the YouTube URL right in here. It would go ahead and show up and play right here in the player. In this case, I don't actually have a video for this demo brand, obviously, so I would just go ahead and remove this section and it would be gone. And then we can see the next section here is this multi-column section here. which in this particular case, this looks like it would be good for something like reviews. So I could come in here and click on the multi-column, give it a heading, something like see what our customers are saying, and then we can go ahead and edit all of the different sections within here. We can give it more columns if we want. So 4, 5, all the way up to 6 different columns. In this case, I'll just keep it at the default of 3. And we can see that with each one of these different sections inside of the theme, they're all going to have unique characteristics to them. But as far as actually editing them, it's going to be exactly the same. But they're all going to have unique different things that we can edit in here. We can see that this one gives us the option, like I said, to change how many columns we have. And it also gives us the option to add a button. So let's just say if I put in testing real quick, we can see that adds in a button here at the bottom. So if I were to put something like see all reviews, and then we could have this link to a particular page for reviews, which we don't have right now, so I'll just have it linked to the contact page. But if we created a reviews page, we would have it linked to that reviews page right here. But since we don't actually have that page, I'll just go ahead and get rid of the button. And then when it comes to actually filling in this content, it'd be exactly the same as the other sections. We click on the individual block down here, and we can see that this allows us to go ahead and showcase an individual image, give it a little heading, and some text. So just for the sake of example, if I throw in an image here, we can see what this would look like. So this multi-column section, for example, would be really good for showcasing features of a product, for example, because you could have 3 different features right here with different icons for each one. But in this case, we're going to be using it for reviews. So I'm going to go ahead and actually not use an image, and I'm just going to use the text. And then I'm going to just go ahead and put in some dummy reviews really quick. And we could go ahead and make this link to something if we wanted. So we could see we could actually have this link out to another page on our site if we wanted to, and we could go ahead and put the link right here. In this case, since it's just a review, I'm not going to have it linked to anything, but that is another option you could have. And then we could go ahead and just fill out each one of these with different reviews. And you can, as you can see, once you know what you're doing, you can actually just start flying through this really quickly. And then if I click on save, we can see that we have just filled out another section just like that very quickly. So now, as we can see, we've went ahead and actually went through all of the sections that come with the theme. So now we're going to move on to editing the footer here. So if we open up the footer, we can see that the footer by default comes with 3 blocks. So one menu, another menu, and a text box, along with the email down here at the bottom. And then we can see here we can choose the different color scheme that we want to use. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and switch it to accent 1 because I think for the footer, having it a different color than the rest of the website looks better. So I normally like to use accent 1. We can choose whether or not we want to show the email sign up right here. We can also choose whether or not we want to show our social media icons. And then we can go ahead and choose whether or not we want to enable the country selector as well if you're going to be selling to multiple countries, and same with the language selector. And then we can choose whether or not we want to show these payment icons down here at the bottom. And this is where we can edit the spacing and such, but you probably don't have to mess with this because the theme already makes it look good by default. So then we can come in here and actually edit the blocks. So editing the footer is just like any other section. So we can see here that by default it puts in the footer menu, which we are going to be creating a little bit later once we get to the navigation. And then we have another menu right here, which right now is also the footer menu. And then we have the text section right here. So in this case, let's say we didn't want 2 of the same menu. I can go ahead and just remove this right here. And then we can go ahead and add in different blocks. So the blocks that you're allowed to put in the footer are going to be a menu, a text block, or an image block. So in this case, we could just keep it as just 2 blocks right here with just the menu and the text block right here. And you can fill in this text with anything you want. Maybe you could put something like, you can make this block like a contact us with different information in here. like this. And once we go ahead and create a footer menu, that's going to show up here. So at this point, we've pretty much done all of the editing of the home page that we can do with the current setup that we have. So we need to go ahead and click save, and now we're going to actually move on to adding products and collections. So I'm going to go ahead and click exit here, and we're going to go back. And what we're going to go ahead and do now is head over here to products on the left, and this is where we can go ahead and start adding products in. So I'm going to click on add product right here, and the first thing we have to do is give the product a title. So in this case, we're going to just add in a lollipop first, and then this is where we can add in the product description here. So in this case, I'm just going to put in some dummy text, but this is where you'd want to describe your product in as much detail as possible, include things such as the product features, the benefits, etc. You can even put frequently asked questions about the product in here as well, and you can include videos and such in this description as well. Media here is where we're going to be uploading our product image. So I'm going to go ahead and click add file now, and we're going to go ahead and add in a photo here of this lollipop. Now you can go ahead and add in as many different photos as you want. You can also add in videos here as well. Up here is where we can choose whether we want the product to be active or in a draft. So in this case, we want this product to be active, and then we can go ahead and organize the product over here. So I would recommend giving it some tags. So right here, we can go ahead and tag it as candy. We'll add that in. We can tag it as lollipop as well. And then this is where we can also add it to collections. So we can see that by default, we already have a home page collection created. So once we create additional collections, they will show up in here as well. So we can add products to that. But I'm going to be showing you how to add products to collections right after this. So we're not going to go ahead and add this to any collections right now. And then next we can go ahead and set the price of our product. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and give it a price. And then the compare at price is what allows us to put a product on sale. So if this product is typically, say, $5, and right now it's selling for $2, this is how you would create a sale right here. So you'd put the original price right here, and then the current sale price right here. You can choose whether or not you want to charge tax on this product, and then this is where you can go ahead and put in the cost per item. So all this will do is, this is just for you on the back end. Customers won't see this, but this will help see what your margins are on the product and how much profit you're making per sale at the current price. So this is just useful mainly just for your sake. And then we can go ahead and put in the product SKU if you have one, and then you can go ahead and put in the barcode if you have one as well, and you can choose whether or not you want to track quantity. So if you have an unlimited amount, you can just get rid of that, but if you have a limited amount, you can go ahead and track quantity, and then you can go ahead and choose how many you have in stock and put that right here. So let's say we have 100 in stock, and then you can choose whether or not you want to continue selling once you're out of stock. Then as far as shipping goes, you can choose whether or not this is a physical product or not. In most cases, it's going to be a physical product. So for the weight, you can just go ahead and put this in, because this is going to help with the shipping calculations. You can put in customs information if you are shipping internationally, but if you're not, then you don't have to worry about that. And then down here, this is where you can actually add in product options. So if you check this, so in this particular case, there's no product options for this product, but let's say we were selling something like a shirt, we could go ahead and make an option for size, and then the option values would be, so let's say we had a small, a medium, a large, and an extra large, and then we could click done. Now let's say we want to go ahead and add another option. So let's say this shirt that we were selling, for example, comes in these 4 different sizes, but it also comes in different colors. So let's say it comes in either black or white, and we click done. So now we can see that by adding in these different options, what happens is it creates a bunch of different variants in here. So we have small in black, we have small in white, we have each size and each color right here. So we have 8 different variants. We can go ahead and change the individual price of each variant if we want to. So if a certain variant costs more to make, you can charge a little bit more for it, and you can choose how many of each variant you have in stock by editing that right here. And we can see that the SKU automatically changes when you have a different variant right here as well. Now in this case, like I said, there's obviously no product variants for this lollipop here, but I wanted to make sure that you understood how to use that functionality. But now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of these variants since we don't actually need it. And the last thing here is going to be the search engine listing. So this is where you can edit what your product is going to look like in Google search results. And I actually have a full video on Shopify SEO, so I won't be able to cover all that in this video, or else the video is going to go on way too long. So I will link that video in the description, but it is definitely worth spending time to optimize all of your products for SEO. So that's how you can add a product to your store, and once you are finished, you just go ahead and click on save, and we can see that the product has been added. So if we go back, we'll be able to see all of our products right here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to repeat this same process, and I'm going to add some more products to the store. And once I've added the rest of the products, we're going to go ahead and move on to creating a collection. All right, so I went ahead and added in some additional products here. We can see we filled out the product lineup, and I added tags for each one of these products, which is going to be important later on. So just as an example, if I go ahead and open up this Milky Way, for example, we can see that it has the tag of candy bar. And if I come over here to the Hershey's bar, we can see it also has the tag of candy bar. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is start organizing our products within collections. So if we come over here to collections, we're going to go ahead and click on create collection here in the top right. And this first one here is going to be candy bars. And we can go ahead and first have a collection image. So if I go ahead and open this up, I'm going to go ahead and make this the collection image right here for the candy bar collection. And then we can choose whether or not we want to have this be a manual collection or an automated collection. So in this case, if we use automated, we could go ahead and set up some conditions. So this is why setting up those tags earlier was really important. So we can see here that we can use product tag is equal to, and then we can do candy bar right here. And then what that is going to do is it's going to automatically add every single product that has a tag of candy bar automatically to the collection. Now you can also set up different conditions with the product title, the price, the weight, etc. In this case, we're going to use the tags because that's normally the easiest. And you can use these different modifiers as well, but in this case we're going to use the product tag is equal to candy bar, and then we're just going to click on save here. And then what this is going to do is it's going to auto-populate the collection right here. So we can see that every single product that had the candy bar tag is now automatically in this collection right here. So this is very helpful, especially if you have a bunch of products in your store. So you can automatically categorize them within collections without spending a lot of time doing it manually. Now, if you don't have many products, you can do it manually. So if I click on create another collection right here, we can see that in this case, I'll go ahead and create a collection called candy corn. And I will go ahead and give the collection an image here. And what I'll do is I'll select it manually this time. So when you're doing manual selection, you just click on manual, you click save, and then here in a second, we'll be able to select the products here. So for manual selection, we can just choose to go ahead and browse our products. So in this case, I'll go ahead and add candy corn into this collection, and we could add any more that we wanted to add to it as well. I'm going to click on add, and then it automatically saves here, and then we can go ahead and go back, and now we can see that we have two collections, and one we manually created and the other has these product conditions right here. Now the cool thing about the product conditions collections is if I were to go ahead and create a new product with the tag of candy bar, it would automatically be put into this collection without me manually having to do it, which is why the automated collections are definitely a lot more efficient to use, and they're very easy to set up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and create a couple more collections really quickly. So I've went ahead and created the additional collections here, and now we can go ahead and go back to our online store section and themes, and we can go ahead and click customize once again, and these sections that we were not able to fill out before, we can see are now filling out. So what we can go ahead and do here is the featured products collection right here. By default, we can see that right now it's showing the all collection, but in this particular case, I'm going to change the collection that's being shown here. I'm going to change this to specifically show the candy bar collection here, and I'm going to click select, and we can choose how many products we want to show. So in this case, if I switch it to 6, since we have 6 in this collection, then we can change the number of columns on desktop to 3, and we can see that that looks a lot better because there's not any empty space. We can go ahead and give this a heading, and in this case I'll make that heading bigger, and then we can see right here that now this section is actually showing up. And we can go ahead and take a look at what it looks like on mobile here, so we can see that it just looks a little bit smaller. Coming back to desktop once again, so we can go ahead and save these changes, and then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to the next section here. So we have the multimedia collage, so this is another one that needs to be filled in. So what we can go ahead and do is go ahead and click on collection right here, and we can start actually selecting collections to go in here. So I'm going to go ahead and select a collection. So in this case, we will go ahead and select chocolate for this particular one. So I'm going to click on select. I'm going to come down to the next collection here. I'm going to select one. In this case, we'll select the candy corn. And then in this third collection, we will go ahead and just select macaroons. And then we can go back up here to the main part of the section, and we obviously want to change this title from multimedia collage, so we could do something like shop by category. We'll make this heading a bit bigger again, and then we can click save, and we can see that now, just like that, we were able to fill out both of the empty sections we had on our home page in just a couple of seconds. So filling out all these sections is very easy. You just got to make sure you have the content for it ahead of time. So once we went ahead and created our products and collections, it was very easy for us to go ahead and fill out all of this information. So now that we've actually edited the home page, there's going to be 2 other pages that we're going to take a look at editing really quick, and that's going to be the product page and the checkout page here. So in order to actually do that, we're going to come up here to the top, and we're going to go ahead and just click on products here, and we're going to just select default product right here, and we can see here that this is going to bring up a completely different editor. So we can see that we were editing the home page this entire time, but now we are going ahead and editing the basic product template. So we can see the basic product template right here shows up here on the left. So we have our product information, and we have a bunch of these little sections right here, and we can choose to go ahead and get rid of certain sections if we don't need them. So let's say if we're not selling items that have specific care instructions, for example, we could go ahead and remove this block, or we could choose to go ahead and add in different blocks as well. So you're just going to pretty much tailor this depending on what it is your products exactly are. So this is going to vary based on that. And then down here we can see that by default this product layout comes with this image with text section here, and then we have a multi-column down here as well, and then we have this product recommendation section down here. So what we could go ahead and do is, if we didn't want any of this extra stuff, we could just go ahead and remove it, or we could just go through here and fill out this information here. Now typically having more stuff on your product page beyond just the product and the product information here on the right is going to look good. So a lot of the times with the themes, they are designed to where they already look well, so you don't have to do too much customizing here. So really what I would recommend doing is just going through here and filling out all of these different sections the way it's set up default, with the just like we have with the entire home page. So you could come in here and we could add in an image right here, and then we'd add in the text right here in both of these sections. And I'm not going to do that now because it would just get pretty monotonous at that point, because we're doing the same exact thing just on a different page. And then down here we have the multi-column here, which by default is showing that we offer free shipping and hassle-free exchanges. So this is where you could put information about your store's policies, etc. right here. So we could go ahead and choose to add an additional column in here, a third one if we wanted. So editing this product page is going to be exactly the same as editing the home page. So I would recommend just going ahead and using the existing sections that are here and just filling them in, because like I said, most out of the box themes are already going to be designed professionally and already look pretty well. So you really don't have to do too much editing yourself. You can just come in and just fill out the actual information. And then we have the product recommendations down here that will show up when the actual store is live. And then we can see our footer is going to be the same across all pages, so you really only have to edit the footer once. So that's how you can go ahead and edit your product page, and we can see that we can come up here, and since we're editing the default product, this is going to essentially be the same for, this template is going to be the same for a lot of different products here. So we can also come up here and we can edit other pages. So if we clicked on like collections list, for example, we can see that this is going to be the page that shows all of our different collections right here. And we could go ahead and add additional sections to this if we wanted to, or we could just keep it blank. So if you wanted to go ahead and add, say for example, like a big image banner on top of here that said like collections or something cool like that, you can go ahead and do that. You can add in custom code as well. So like I said, it's a recurring theme. Editing all of these different pages is going to be exactly the same as the home page. So if you can edit the home page, you can edit the rest of these pages as well. So it's the same exact process. You can go through here and edit individual pages as well as your blogs the same exact way. So the one thing that's going to be a little bit different is going to be editing the actual checkout here. So if we come down here to checkout, it's going to bring up our checkout page here. And we can see here that it doesn't have sections, but it does have checkout settings. And we can see that our checkout settings don't really match with everything else. We have this random blue button. So we want to go ahead and open the checkout settings here. Scroll down, and we can see that we can go ahead and put in information for our checkout here. So we can put in a background image if we want, but in my opinion, I find that kind of unnecessary. But it is good to put your logo in here, so we can go ahead and put our logo in here on the checkout. And we can also change this logo size. I'm going to make it, we can change it from small to medium to large right here. In this case, I'll keep it as large. We can change the positioning. I'll position it as center in this particular case. We can change our background color if we want to. We can see that changes the background. I'm going to just keep it white. I normally don't mess with the checkout too much, except just making it branded here. So in order to actually make it branded, we're going to come down here to our accents, and this is where we want to actually change our accent here to our branded colors. So this is where I would take the hex code from our primary color earlier, and I would just go ahead and paste that in here, and then I would change this button to that same color as well. And we can see that now our checkout page is a lot more on brand. We have our logo, and the colors actually correspond with our branding instead of it being like a random shade of blue. So this is something that's pretty easy to edit. However, it's definitely something you want to do because you want your checkout page to be congruent with the rest of your store. So it's definitely something important to do. So we're going to go ahead and click save on that, and then we are pretty much good to go. So we can see here that that's how we can go ahead and edit all of these different sections inside of our theme. So editing everything is going to be exactly the same as editing the home page, except checkout is kind of its own thing, but everything else is going to be just like the home page. So now heading back to the home page here, we're pretty much done inside of the theme editor now, since you should know your way around it and be able to edit all of the pages comfortably and confidently. So we're going to go ahead and move forward to the next part of the video. So now we're going to go ahead and go back, and we're going to start going over how to create pages. So we're going to come down here to pages right here. And this is where we can go ahead and create pages within our store. So if we go ahead and open this up, we can see we have a contact page created by default, and we can see we have the theme template here of contact. So if we were to view this page, we can see that this page by default comes with a contact form right here. So you don't have to add anything to this if you don't want, but if you do want to put some additional stuff in your contact page, you can. Maybe you want like a map that shows your physical location or something like that, or maybe you could put in something like your store hours. We could go ahead and put in this information right here if we wanted to, and this would show up on the page in addition to our contact form. So as far as pages go, there's going to be a set of essential pages that pretty much every Shopify store is going to need to have, and you can reference those right here. So we have the contact page. Every store is going to need a contact page. You're going to want an About Us page, so this is going to be a page that is talking about your specific brand and your business. You're going to want a Frequently Asked Questions page. You're going to want a page with your privacy policy and your terms of service, and then you're going to want a page that allows customers to check on their shipping and track their orders. So going through all these, we can see that the contact page is very easy. It's automatically done. The About page is pretty simple as well. If you just click on Add Page up here, we can go ahead and name our page About Us. And then what you can do is this is where you'd go ahead and type a little bit about your business story, etc. You could put in pictures of you or your team members or anything like that. You could put in a video about your business if you go ahead and insert video right here. This is going to be very dependent on your specific business, but you do want to have an About Us page because it shows that you're actually a legitimate business. So in this case, I'm just going to put some dummy text in here, but you definitely want to spend some time making this look good. So we click on Save. The next page is going to be the Frequently Asked Questions. So if we go ahead and create a page for that right here. So what you would want to do for the Frequently Asked Questions page is you just want to go ahead and have answers to the most common questions that you're going to be asked. So this is going to be things like, what is the shipping time? What type of payments do you accept, etc. Now there are certain apps you can use to go ahead and create a good looking templated Frequently Asked Questions page. You can just type it out manually if you wanted to. Now there are some free apps that are pretty easy to set up as well, and we'll be taking a look at apps at the end of the video. But FAQs, this is definitely something that's going to vary depending on your store as well, because certain products, certain brands are going to have their own subset of customer inquiries. So the more customer support inquiries you get, the better you'll be able to optimize your FAQ page, because you'll be able to tailor it to your specific business. So you want to make sure you make that page right there. Now, in terms of the actual privacy policy and terms of service, this one's going to be pretty easy. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to open up settings, but I'm going to open it up in a separate tab real quick, and we're going to come down here to policies, and we can see here that we can go ahead and generate store policies automatically. So we can see here we can create a privacy policy from template just by clicking this right here. We can also create terms of service from a template by clicking this right here. And if we wanted to go ahead and copy all this, we could just copy this entire privacy policy, come over here to pages, add page, type in privacy policy, paste this in here, and save it. And just like that, we're done with the privacy policy. And we could go ahead, create another page, and do the same exact thing for the terms of service. And we can see right here there is some information that you'd want to go ahead and edit. For the sake of this video, I'm not filling all this in, but you definitely want to edit your business address, phone number, etc. inside of these templates. Paste it in, click Save. Well, we forgot to give it a title. Terms of service, click Save. You can also generate different policies here for your shipping. You can create a templated refund policy as well. Now, a lot of the time, a lot of people create custom refund policies, so they might not use the template, but if you want to use the templated one, you can. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save here as well, and we're going to go ahead and go back, and we can see that now we have all of our pages set up. The last page I would recommend setting up is a shipping and tracking page. However, this is one that you are going to have to use a third-party app for. So I'll show you where you can look for that at the end of the video when we take a look at apps. So now that we've created pages, I want to show you how you can go ahead and add these pages to your menu. So if we go ahead and click on navigation here, we can see that we have two menus here by default. We have our footer menu already created and our main menu created. So if we wanted to go ahead and create a new menu, we can click on Add Menu here, But in this case, we're going to go ahead and just edit these menus here. So I'm going to click on main menu. And for the sake of looking at what we're doing, if we open up the store, we can see that the main menu is this one up top, and the footer menu is going to be this one here at the bottom. So we can see if we want to go ahead and add a menu item to the main menu, we can just click on this right here, and we can go ahead and search for a specific link. So in this case, I'm going to look for a page. I'm going to add the About Us to the main menu, and I'm going to click on Add, and then I'm going to click on Save. And then I'm going to back out here, and I'm going to go to the footer menu, and this is normally where you're going to add all of your policies and stuff down here. So if I click Add, and we go to Link, we can add another page once again. We can add our privacy policy down here to this menu. We can add another one, go to Pages, add our terms of service down here. We could also add our FAQs down here. If you want to change the order that this is in, you can drag and drop just like that. Click on Save and go back. And we can see that just like that, we can go ahead and customize our menus very easily, very simply. And then when we go ahead and view our store, we can see that now our menu up top is updated with the About Us page that we just added to it. And we can see down here at the bottom, the footer menu that we just added these pages to are now showing up down here as well. And you can always create your own custom menus if you need additional ones as well. So now we're going to take a look at blog posts really quickly. So blog posts are going to be very similar to pages, except it's just going to be an individual page that's going to have a specific piece of content on it. So blog posts are a good way of doing content marketing, and if you're writing blogs that are related to your niche and you're ranking in Google, you can get relevant traffic to your store. So creating blog posts are pretty self-explanatory. You just click create blog post, and just like creating any other page, you just go ahead and title it, put in the content here. You can give it a featured image, you can give it tags, and then you click save. So this one's pretty self-explanatory here, but I just wanted to touch on it really quick. Now if we come down here to preferences, we can go ahead and edit a couple basic settings. So the title and meta description is this is just what our home page is going to look like in Google. So just like we took a look at the product SEO earlier in this video, this is what our home page is going to look like. So typically you're just going to want it to be like site title, and then maybe like a tagline. And then you can just have a brief description of your store right here in the meta description. And then we can have the social sharing image. So this is the image that's going to show up whenever somebody shares your site on social media. So if I go ahead and just add in an image here, for example, this is where we can go ahead and set up our tracking pixels. So if we're using Google Analytics, we can paste that code in here. And if we're using Facebook to advertise, we can go ahead and set up the Facebook pixel right here. And then we can choose customer privacy settings right here, as well as we can choose to go ahead and unrestrict our store and make it public by getting rid of this password here, which we can only do once we go ahead and activate our actual plan, which we'll be doing at the end of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. So now we're going to get familiar with the rest of the dashboard here. We've actually covered the majority of the meat of this video, which is going to be actually how to edit and set up the site. But now we're going to get a little bit more familiar with some of the other things inside of the dashboard. So if we come up here to the top left, this is where we can actually see where our orders will be. So once your store starts receiving orders, they're going to show up right here. So this is where you can keep track of that. Right here is where we can see everything related to our customers. So once you get customer information, once people start ordering from your store, that's going to show up right here. Finances right here is going to give you a breakdown of the actual finances in your store. So it's going to show you like net sales, gross profit, gross margin. It's going to show you your earnings and different payouts that you're having if you're using Shopify payments. So this is where you're going to see a lot of financial information here. Analytics is where we can get a detailed overview of everything going on in our store. So we can see a lot of detailed information in here, from total sales, returning customer rate, conversion rate, a bunch of cool nerdy marketing stuff we'll be able to see right in here. That's going to be very helpful once you're trying to grow your store. And you can sort it by different time periods right here. And you can also set up reports right in here as well. You can generate reports. And you can also see the live view of your store, so what's actually going on your store right now. We can come down here to marketing as well, and we can go ahead and set up some different marketing campaigns here for Shopify, and then it also recommends us some different marketing apps that we can go ahead and use as well. And then right here is where we can actually create discount codes. So this is where you can actually set up promotions. So this is going to be something that's used very commonly. So if we go ahead and click create discount, we can go ahead and choose the discount type. So we can create like a free shipping code, for example. We can choose buy one product, get something else. We can choose a specific amount to have off the order, or we can have specific amount off of products. So we're going to do amount off of order because that's going to be a really common one. So if I click on this, we can see we have discount code here. I'll just generate a discount code, for example, for the sake of this example. And we can see that we can set it to a percentage or a fixed amount. So in this case, we'll do 20%. We'll set a minimum purchase amount here of $50 and limit to 1 use per customer. So we can see here that what this code will do is it will allow customers to get 20% off their entire order as long as they spend a minimum of $50. And if we want to go ahead and start this, we could go ahead and just click save. And if we wanted this to end at a specific time, we could go ahead and set this here. But in this case, I'll just click save this discount right here. And we can see that just like that, we've created a discount code. So that's how you can go ahead and create discounts. Now we're going to head down here to settings, because there's a few settings that we didn't look at in the beginning of the video that we're going to take a look at now. So the biggest one is going to be shipping and delivery. So this is where you can go ahead and set up all of your different shipping rates for your store. So you can set up local delivery rates here, local pickup. You can add different packages here if you ship out using the same packages. You can choose to buy and print discounted shipping labels right here through these different carriers. And you can go ahead and edit your packing slip templates as well. But mainly what you're going to be doing here is managing your shipping right here. So general shipping rates, if I click on manage, for example, we can see we can go ahead and choose which products are going to be inside of a shipping profile. We can choose where it's going to be shipped to, and we can go ahead and create a specific shipping zone. So in this case, this shipping zone is the United States, and these would be all of the shipping options we have to the United States, and then all the shipping options we have to the rest of the world. Now, I do have a more detailed video on setting up your shipping settings within Shopify, so if you do want to check that out, I will link that in the description as well. But it's pretty straightforward, but like I said, I do have a more detailed video. If we go into checkout settings here, we can choose whether or not we want to enable customer accounts. So most of the time you're going to choose accounts being optional, because you do want the option for people to create customer accounts. And you can choose what contact method customers have to use to check out. So you can either just get their email, or you can get their phone number and email. This is going to be a preference. You can choose how you want customers to get shipping updates. So you can show a link to download the Shop app, which comes with Shopify. And then you can go ahead and change the customer information that you require. So require first and last name is pretty common. Company name can be optional or don't include, depending on what you're selling. Address line 2, optional. And this is all pretty standard right here. You can choose to pre-select people to opt in for email marketing, and this is where you can choose to have people opt in for SMS marketing as well. And we can go ahead and click on save here. So another important thing we want to take a look at when we're in settings is coming down here to domains right here. So we can see here by default, anytime we create a Shopify store, it comes with this free domain here of your store name with hyphens in between each word, .myshopify.com. And while this is cool, you definitely don't want to go ahead and keep using this domain once you go live, because it's not very professional. So what you're going to want to go ahead and do is either buy a new domain or connect an existing one. So if you did already buy a domain from another registrar, such as like GoDaddy or Namecheap, you can go ahead and click connect right here to go ahead and connect that domain. However, if you do not already have a domain, you can buy one easily through Shopify here. And typically it'll just be like yourstorename.com, so that we can get rid of these hyphens. You can get rid of the My Shopify, so it'll be clean and more professional. So this is definitely something that you absolutely want to do. So you click on my domain here and you just put in your domain and go through the checkout process. And this is definitely something that you can't skimp out on, because it looks very unprofessional if you don't have an actual clean looking domain name, and it only costs like $14 a year. So this is definitely something I would recommend doing before publishing your store and making it live. So at this point, that's pretty much all of the settings that you need to be familiar with. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is head over to the apps section here. So if you click on add apps, we can see that there's a couple suggested apps here, but we're going to go ahead and open up the Shopify App Store and just briefly take a look at what it is. So apps are going to be third-party softwares that are going to add even more additional functionality to your store. So most likely you're going to have to use at least a couple apps in your store depending on the type of functionality that you were looking for. So there's going to be a bunch of different apps that help you with things like marketing, analytics, email marketing, like Klaviyo. There's going to be a bunch of different apps that do a bunch of different things. So depending on your store, the apps you use is definitely going to vary. So we're not going to go into specific apps in this video. But like I did say earlier, two apps that we talked about would be an app for creating a frequently asked questions page and an app for customers to be able to track their orders. So I would recommend starting out with two apps like that. So that's what the App Store is for, and as you move on creating your store, you'll start to find that there'll be certain apps that are going to be very useful for you, and we talk about a lot of different apps on this channel as well. So that's pretty much it when it comes to creating a Shopify store from scratch. If we come over here now, we're going to open up the 5 days left in your trial, and I'm going to show you how you can select a plan here. So right now, as I'm filming this video, there is a promotion going on where you can get Shopify Basic for $1 for the first 3 months. Now, depending on when you're watching this video, I don't know if this promotion will still be going on. Normally, it's going to be $29 a month. Now, when it comes to what plan you pick, I would recommend most people are going to be starting out with Basic unless you automatically are going to have a ton of orders coming in immediately. So if you're already a big established business, then it probably makes more sense to go with one of the bigger plans, so that way you get the lower transaction fees because you're going to save a lot of money. But if you're a brand new business, you're probably going to start out with Basic, and then you're going to upgrade as you start making more sales, and it makes more sense to save money on transaction fees. So this is where you can come in and select a plan here. So a lot of people are going to be choosing Basic, so you would just select choose this plan, and enter your payment information, and you will be good to go. So with that said, that's how you can go ahead and create a Shopify store from scratch, step by step. If we take a look at the store here, we can see that we created a pretty good looking store in just about an hour or so. So definitely not bad. If this video was helpful, be sure to leave it a thumbs up. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section down below. Subscribe to this channel for more videos, and I'll see you guys in another one.